My name is James Jones. I'm with Riftspam Meeting. I'm here with LeBeau Kpadenou, co-chair of the Green Party of Florida. I wanted to ask you a couple questions and let the audience get a little familiar with you. I'm going to start off asking about the campaign that you just got off of. Can you tell us about your campaign, maybe some of the issues that you were highlighting and how that process went?
Absolutely. It was my first campaign. I ran for state rep, 87th district. I chose that office because I found that in the state of Florida, usually what happens is that you'll have, because of the gerrymandering, you'll have a primary in which maybe a tenth of the electorate votes, and then whoever wins the primary just automatically runs unopposed in the general. So I thought this is a great place for a Green to run against a Democrat who's very much a centrist. He's literally a millionaire media mogul CEO, and had his campaign against me was his third campaign, and even at that point he did not have a platform. So it was important to me to, in my first run, not knowing what I was doing, where I would likely fall flat on my face, find a way to make sure that there was something to be achieved by this goal other than just the skills I'd be learning and that'd be helping the Greens to learn.
Right.
We got 16% of the vote, which is more than I ever imagined when I first threw my hat in the ring.
Right.
And it really was a great experience. I learned a whole lot. Yeah. As far as issues I highlighted, that actually evolved over time. I sat down and made myself a nice, extensive platform, very close to Green values, actually pretty close to the state of Florida's platform. I had a couple of ideas I think to be new ideas. Right. For example, I was campaigning on the idea that we could use the monopoly power of utilities to prevent certain Florida companies from being able to have political speech because they have a deal with the government that gives them a monopoly over us. Perhaps we being forced to pay them for their energy, that money shouldn't be going back to pay politicians to do things that we don't want.
Right.
Like put amendments on the ballot that get nothing near what we want and spend all that money. Then partway through my campaign, we had the Kavanaugh issue go down.
Right.
And at that point, it became clear to me that Roe versus Wade would be on the chopping block in the next 2 years, as far as the federal level goes. So. The message I was trying to put at the end of my campaign is your state legislature matters, because if Roe versus Wade goes to a Kavanaugh court and gets overturned, it's going to be up to your state legislature to decide whether or not a woman's going to maintain her right to choose. Right. So that became a big focus of my campaign near the end there.
Okay, that's very interesting. I wanted to just is running for office is often a very deeply personal thing, and it takes courage. I mean, some folks, I have heard some rare birds that's just, hey, it was just a natural thing for me. Most folks that I've talked to, it's not necessarily natural. There's a certain calculus that comes with that process of deciding to run for office. I wonder if you could kind of go into your calculus, some of the things maybe you struggled with to bring you to the point that you decided to run for office.
The reasons not to run for office, we're told all the time. And some of these reasons I felt, understand I came to the Green Party from the fallout of the Democratic Convention and the whole Bernie, Hillary, the way the DNC, treated the left. And so then after switching over to jail, it became very natural for me to help found the Palm China Green Party and then get involved at the state level. So initially, probably, there's so many motives. Sure. One of my initial motives was, of course, to promote the Green Party of Florida, to let people know that there's another choice out there, right. And to make people aware, hopefully increase membership. Another important thing to me is that I feel that a lot of us who maybe were a little slower to waking up than others, realized in 2016 that the emperor has no clothes, that these people that we elect and that are running Congress, running the parties, things like that, are definitely no smarter than you or I. Right. Definitely no moral than you or I. They maybe are richer than you or I, born richer, but I could look at a wide swath of our senators, not congresspersons, not counting even just the state level, right. And say, I know I could do the job better than they could. And not even talking about their ideology and their morality and what they're trying to push. I know that I could be more effective than they could. And not just me. People I know in my life every day. Right. Not anybody special. So I had a couple of advantages. Once again, having already been involved in the party, I had that I could lean on, and people, the connections I can make inside the party of people who've run before and people who can, tell me things. I had the example because my grandfather served in Congress for 10 years.
Okay.
And so I felt that it was important to me to counteract what I call the professionalization of politics. Right. This idea that it's not just politics, it's a lot of things, but this whole idea that you just go to work and make your money and you let the professionals handle the politics. And that's the way we've been doing it for 40 years. And it was important for me to point out that, when Tallahassee was built, this was not a job that was created for lawyers and CEOs. This is a job that was made for farmers, and normal people who take 2 months out of the year to go to Tallahassee to serve the people, and then go back to their normal lives.
Right.
So that would be reason number 2, is to get past this whole idea that you can't do that. Number 3, once again, to force people to go on the record with what their beliefs are, and actually give people a voice in our electorate. I mean, in my district, since it was created back in 2010, my district, this is the first time I ever had a general election.
Really?
First time ever, because I decided to run as a Green.
Right.
Because I live in Palm Beach County. In certain parts of Palm Beach County. But I live in Palm Beach County. I live in one of 2 or 3 majority-minority districts in Palm Beach County. I live in the only majority Hispanic district in Palm Beach County.
Right.
So Republicans know they're not going to win there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you have your primary, where once again only the insiders, and people who are really in the know, and people who are chomping at the bit to vote, and then they get to no. I'm going to rip here. I'm sorry. I know you asked me one question, but what really set me off was, as the state co-chair, part of my job was to I took it myself to say, I'm going to make a list of the seats that are available as we go and look for people to run for them.
Sure.
And, I noticed this trend of people running unopposed, and I saw the amount of money that's being raised. My opponent last time around spent, let's go back to his first race, because his first race was famous. He ran in his hometown of Boca before he moved to my district after he lost to Republicans. He spent his family spent $350,000 of their own money in an election they didn't win. The job pays $36,000 a year.
Right.
The district next to mine, if you go out west to Belgrade, which is the poorest part of our county, the same guy had been running time and time again, unopposed in the primary and the general, and was raising $100,000 a race. There's a guy in Broward County who ran 3 times in a row, and these numbers aren't going to be exactly right, but I know for a fact the first time he ran unopposed in the primary and general, he raised $7,000. The second time he ran ran for office, unopposed in the primary and general, he raised like $45,000. And then the third time, it's almost up into 6 digits. It's like, dude, you won with $7,000, and no one's running against you. What are we using all this money for exactly? Where's all this money going?
Right.
Because I can tell you from going around and knocking on doors all of my district, when Silver spent $150,000 in the district last year, it wasn't to tell people who he was, because nobody knew who their state rep was. Nobody knew. Right. So these are the things that kind of drove me in.
Well, 2 things that you said that was a common theme that I've heard over the years. I mean, one is that how our elections have basically degraded into just auctions. That obscene amounts of money for positions that pay, like you said, like $35,000, raising 6 figures and more for that position. I mean, essentially, and the constituents don't even know who the representative is. So it's something very highly dysfunctional and should concern people about the health of democracy. Secondly, when you're talking about the kind of the concept of professional politicians, and that this idea that the bar quality of politicians has been continually going down, and that regular people are saying that basically they could have always run before, but these craven politicians have degraded to the point that now you must run. So not to go too deeply into that, but I wanted to see if we could switch gears a little bit and talk about maybe some of your history and what brought you to the Green Party. You kind of touched a little bit on that with Bernie's campaign and your involvement in that. And kind of see if we can kind of move into that. And because you are co-chair of the Florida Green Party, so I want to maybe talk a little bit about your evolution and how you became involved with the party, and talk maybe a little bit about being the co-chair of the Florida Green Party.
All right, so a little background on me. I came from a privileged background. My grandfather was prominent in the civil rights movement, and he ended up serving in Congress for 10 years from 1980 to 1990. He, I think if you had asked what he's probably proudest of, he introduced the first, though non-binding, he introduced the first resolution that Congress passed condemning South Africa for apartheid. I grew up in a household where there are pictures on the wall of my grandfather, people like Nelson Mandela and Paul Robeson and that kind of thing. He used to defend communists back in the 50s.
Okay.
My mom, his daughter, is the political one in the family. My father is from Africa, from Togo. We talked about this earlier.
Right.
So, he's an observer of politics, but he was never really like into politics. He was more in his career.
Right.
So, Mom, just this year, she won a Lifetime Achievement Award from the ACLU.
Really?
So, even though I was raised by my father, there was always that thing in my ear that I had a duty, etc.
Right.
But I was kind of the black sheep of the family. I'm the one who didn't graduate from college. Kind of never did the right thing. I don't know if you know, but in the restaurant business my whole life, I'm mainly a waiter and a restaurant manager.
Right.
So once again, as I said, and this is, I think, especially true of my generation, Gen X, is that we're the generation where it really was all about, all you need to worry about is you need to go to work every day and make your money and come home and keep your mouth shut and everything will be just fine.
Right.
They call us a silent generation because to this point, politically, we've not achieved a whole lot, and that's because of that mindset that I think, not too philosophical, but maybe we're the first generation raised under the full scope of neoliberalism.
No.
That teaches you just go to sleep and don't worry about it.
Right. I can relate to that.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's how I live my life. Right. I go to work, go home, drink some beers, go to bed, get up, do it all over again.
Right.
I got involved with Bernie Sanders. I actually didn't even get involved under Bernie Sanders. I got excited under Bernie Sanders in a way that I had not been excited by a president before, in a different way. Barack Obama was a big deal because he's the first black president, and he had a very liberal agenda, but not transformative.
Right.
Bernie Sanders now, I find myself a little bit probably to the left of Bernie Sanders, but at the time, a lot of us were shocked that you could go out there and run for office and say these things and actually give, a well-heeled politician to run for their money. Mm-hmm. And to see the outpourings of support that people had for him. And, I spent a lot of time convincing my mom that Bernie Sanders was a better example of what she believed in than Hillary Clinton. And, finally I convinced her to switch over to Bernie. When Bernie got scorched like he did, I reached out to someone that I know who actually used to be the chair of the party maybe 10 years ago, and just happened to know her through my mom. And this is one of those things where makes a difference. Because I called her up and said, "I want to help get Jill Stein elected. What can I do?" So we got a group together and did a little campaigning for Jill Stein, and that group became the Palm Beach County Green Party.
Okay.
And I was elected co-chair. We refounded the Palm Beach County Green Party in my living room. I was elected the co-chair and was sent to the council. I discovered that I loved it. A lot of my personal qualities go well with the Green Party, and especially I'm kind of a wonk, so the administrative part is a great part because I'm not a great one for going out in the street and doing protests and rallies because I'm not a huge people person, and part of the whole thing of the rally is the meeting the people, the pressure in the flesh, the crowd spirit, which doesn't move me as much as it does many people.
Right.
So to be able to do the administrative part and to know that there are people out there who are in the streets doing the work that can do it because of the support that they have from me back in the office. Can we have 1 second, please? We're in the middle of an interview. Can we pause it? I'll just grab the door.
Well, it's okay. Just leave it.
Okay. So to know that I can do my part and use my strengths to support those who may be the more out front, getting things done is my niche. And I think that I know you interviewed Robin recently, and I'm hoping that we both get reelected for our seats this weekend, because I thought we make a great balance. She's more of that person who's out there, in the streets, meeting people, knocking on doors, etc. Right. And I'm very good at making sure that the bylaws get updated when they need to be updated and that kind of thing.
Right. Well, in any organization, you can't have a monoculture of skills. You need a diversity of skills to bring it all together. Mm-hmm. And so, definitely, everybody has something to bring to the table. I'll quote as a friend of mine said that nobody can do everything, but everybody can do something. I do want to move into just an extension of that conversation. I want to say, is there, as a co-chair of the Green Party of Florida, do you have anything that you can tell us that's coming up in the near term or the midterm? What's coming up with the Green Party of Florida?
So that's a really tough question. I have my ideas, but we are at the end of my first term. I've got 2 days left, and I hope to be reelected. But at the same time, I spent the last couple months wrapping up my term to make sure the things that I wanted to accomplish got accomplished this session. We ran some really great campaigns this last year. I think we ran more campaigns than I've seen in quite a while. And once we got back, we didn't win. We live in Florida. But then once we got back, it's some of the best numbers that the party has seen.
Right.
So if reelected on Sunday, I plan to lay out some ideas that I think we should focus on. But I definitely take guidance from the general membership and what they want to see. Moving into 2020, I would like us to see a strong push for the 2019 municipal elections to get the Green Party's names on people's lips.
Right.
But it's very difficult to find people to run in local elections when you're spread as thin as we are, because we don't know people in all those cities, and just picking some rando who maybe has not been involved in the party deeply but is registered green and saying you should run as a green, and then they go out there and say something totally crazy, right. That's an embarrassment to the party. So that's one of my primary focuses moving forward into the next year. Also preparing, as I said, for the skills that we need for the canvassing and all the things that we're going to need for the presidential election that's coming up.
Right.
Fortunately, the Green Party of Florida has not had much difficulty with the maintenance of our ballot status.
Right.
So we don't have to have that fight they're having in a lot of other states right now.
For our viewers, ballot access is become a really big challenge across the United States, and a lot of ballot lines are under salt. And we are very fortunate in Florida that we're not experiencing that, but this is a very uncommon situation that Green parties across the United States are struggling with. New rules and new laws that are designed to basically kill their ballot access lines.
Yes, and so that's another thing. I'm all about the education, and it really is about educating the public about the Green Party of Florida. We're going to be doing a Skype. Dr. Jill Stein has been kind enough to offer to Skype in with us tomorrow evening. So we're doing a sound test with her, and we had a little conversation, several of us together. And she was talking about something that I've noticed myself, the fact that we had this green wave across Europe where I think they came second place in the elections.
European Union. Yeah.
Sorry? Exactly.
European Union.
The EU parliamentary elections. And they're covering it in the press. But oddly enough, they never talk about the Green Party of the U.S.
Right.
And so, for me, I think that this is our time to use the focus on this issue to make people aware of the global Greens and to make people aware of one of the many things that makes our party unique, along with our 10 key values, along with the thing that we don't take corporate money, is the fact that we are part of a global party. I don't study other parties, but it wouldn't surprise me if the Green Party is not the largest party on the planet. We have party chapters in 100 different countries. That's to say that the Green Party of the U.S. has sister Green Party chapters around the world in more than half the countries in the world. So in the same fashion, just to explain to viewers who don't understand this, the same relationship that the Green Party of Florida has to the Green Party of Georgia, the Green Party of the U.S. has to the Green Party of, say, Germany or South Korea or whomever else. And I think that it is important for us to take this moment to use this to educate the public on this and to say, you see all that hope that's going on in Europe? You can do that here. You have that ability. I not to name drop her too much, but I'm really happy with looking back at Dr. Stein's 2 runs and what she did to bring our message to the forefront. I think that there's no way, as much as AOC gets all the credit, there's no way anyone would be talking about the Green New Deal in Congress if Jill Stein hadn't been running on it since AOC was like 21 years old.
Right.
So that's number one, is to me to teach people about the party in this moment that we have right now. And then now that we have the constant problem of our platforms being co-opted, so our platforms being co-opted again with the Green New Deal. So I would like to focus on, and I'm going to talk to some of the persons who came about this in the forum, I would like to see us focus on the Green New Deal as being a mere aspect of the Economic Bill of Rights. And I'd like to see us expand our message to, well, if the Democrats want to run on the Green New Deal, we totally support that. We want that, the Green New Deal. We're going to do everything we can to help you get it done. But now that we have to run and be forward-thinking and be the inspiration for what you guys are going to run in 8 years, well, let's talk about the Economic Bill of Rights now. And so those are 2 things I'm looking at, but that's more of a national level than a state level.
Okay.